You are a robot in an office building. You have to eat furniture and not get caught. A mysterious story unfolds. Not the Robots is this year's most exciting roguelike stealth furniture eating simulator. It's a game with random levels, permadeath, and the goal of eating furniture, which is also your stealth cover. Welcome to episode 15 of the 5 T's of Stealth, where we will be discussing Not the Robots. Once again, the 5 T's include tasks, terrain, tools, threats, and tension. These are what I consider to be the fundamentals of stealth gaming. Not the Robots is a roguelike game, meaning it has a very particular structure, including procedural generation for every level. There are 3 game modes: campaign, operations, and challenges. Let's start with the campaign. The campaign has a variety of difficulty options and has a total of 7 buildings. Each building has 2 levels to complete. Building 1 and 2 are the simplest and only have one objective: eat a certain amount of furniture or food. Building 3 and 4 build upon that. There will be certain tiles spread across the level with a sensor and a number above them. You must run over the sensor to complete the number sequence. This is in addition to eating a certain amount of furniture. Buildings 5 and 6 still keep the need to eat furniture, but they add a new task of their own. For these levels, you have to pick up a tagger. This will unfortunately require an inventory slot, and most of the time means you're ditching something. With the tagger, you must traverse the entire level and tag all the enemies. This is simply done by getting close enough and then activating the item. The tagger does not seem to be present on the first floor of Building 6. The 7th and final building is probably just as you guessed it. That's right, it's the final boss. The first floor is actually a freebie and gets you back to full health before facing the boss on the second floor. You have no other objective here, just beat the boss. We will discuss the boss more in threats. Next, let's discuss operations. Operations are basically miniature campaigns. These will typically have a specific theme and only about 3 buildings to clear. Operations provide a bit more of a curated campaign experience. And finally, challenges. This is probably something you could guess. Challenges are just singular levels that are difficult and very short. Again, these all have a very particular theme and even provide unique challenges and items that aren't present anywhere else in the game. Whenever you finish a campaign or operations run, you will be awarded a score. This score is determined by how many floors you beat and by any bonuses you may have accumulated throughout, such as no damage runs, max food, or even just gaining a higher multiplier. This score is then applied to a reward system that has 21 tiers. Reward is a bit of a stretch here. As you level up this board, you will gain access to many things, such as new operations, new challenges, and upgrades to your items, enemies, and traps. Let's talk a bit more about the story. Throughout your playtime, you will come across laptops that can be consumed, and in doing so, you will unlock bits and pieces of the story. There are 7 different categories for this information, each with 3 pieces of lore. The 7 categories are as follows: Solar Group and the Trash Cans, the Designer and the AI, Bob Robertson, Time, Beth, and the Voice Recorder, the Complaint Form, the Ideal Advert, and finally, Revelations. I'm going to extremely oversimplify this, so bear with me. Not the Robots is all about an AI takeover, or at least the creation of Abami, the new gods. As explained in The Designer and the AI, Nathan Rogers has created 2 identical AI but is developing them in 2 separate ways. Fast forward quite a bit, and these AI are Abami. As explained in Revelations, Abami discusses what it means to be a god and how there used to be gods of rivers and volcanoes before science came along and explained everything. She really fixates on this point, that gods control the unknown that humankind cannot comprehend or explain. Then, as we learn after completing the campaign, Abami then creates Not, or the robot or robots that you control. Not is the name given to the sentient trash robots who, after consuming enough food, are told to leave the campus of Solar Group and live out their lives. Solar Group is the company where everything takes place. When leaving the campus, we find a bunch of seemingly abandoned homes and there are no humans in sight. This leads me to believe that Abami have truly become the new gods of the world, or at the very least of the immediate area. Whether or not this is an apocalyptic event, I cannot say for sure, but what I can say is that this seemingly goofy game about eating furniture as a robot actually has a lot of darkness beneath the surface. As I mentioned earlier, Not the Robots features procedural generation. This means that no two levels are the same, and once you lose on a level, it will be gone forever. Procedurally generated maps typically have a big advantage when it comes to repetition. Since the maps are always changing, it has a better chance of feeling fresh. That seems to be the case here as well. Each level definitely feels similar, but never repetitive or stale. Levels will have a wide variety of rooms and passages, but with countless item options to bypass these, you're never boxed into playing a certain way. The main mechanic available to your trash robot is, well, eating. You start by eating furniture, as this is the main objective of the game. Eating furniture is not only required to complete levels, but doing so will recharge your gadgets. What gadgets do you have? I hear you ask enthusiastically. Well, there's quite a large variety, so buckle up. To get a gadget, you must eat a blue box. Simple enough. These blue boxes have many items available, but remember, more will unlock as you finish campaign runs and level up the rewards. You will not know what item is in each box, so good luck. There is one way to find out, but we'll come back to that. Potential items include Sprint, pretty self-explanatory. Blocks, this allows you to place down blocks for cover. Invisible, become invisible, but you cannot move. You do not take any damage. Dig, remove permanent barriers to open up more routes. Freebie, lets you respawn with a small amount of health if you die. Teleporter, teleport 4 tiles in the direction you're facing. This can go through permanent barriers. Quick Charge, recharge your other gadgets. Armor, this is a passive item that seems to reduce damage taken. Stun, temporary stun sentinels or explode sensor bombs. Most of these gadgets also have an upgraded version that will be unlocked. These are still in a blue box, but it's a lighter shade of blue. Sprint Plus, bigger speed boost and you stay crouched for the duration. Blocks Plus, higher charge means you can place more blocks. Invisible Plus, you are invisible for 10 seconds and you can move. Still take no damage. Dig Plus, higher charge for more digging. 3 walls before it's empty. Freebie Plus, respawn with more health. Teleporter Plus, freeze time and choose to reappear anywhere on the map. Quick Charge Plus, starts full and has a higher capacity. No upgrades for armor or stun. Aside from item boxes, there are also upgrade boxes. These are locked until you complete the level, so make sure to eat them before you leave. I have definitely forgotten a time or two. Upgrade boxes give you one of 3 things: an additional inventory slot, an increase to your multiplier, or a scanner. Scanners will tell you what is inside of an item box or upgrade box. Once you have one, it is permanent for that run. The more scanners you have, the more boxes you will know the contents of at the start of a level. General movement feels very good, and you do have a crouch. Perfect for hiding behind furniture of all shapes and sizes. Most of the furniture that spawns will leave just enough space for you to creep through. There are such openings available to you that the sentinels cannot squeeze through. Crouching will also allow you to take cover underneath tables or move through them, which is very clutch. Getting caught will not instantly fail you because your trash robot has a certain amount of health, and if you get caught, everything will just start trying to kill you. Occasionally, there will be health boxes available which provide 50 health. There is a pretty wide variety of things here that want to hurt you. For starters, there are lasers. These are projected from an almost tripod-esque stand that will spin in circles. As you progress, several various types of lasers will appear. Some have 1 beam and only cover high or low, while others have 2 beams to cover both. Another trap is a simple floor trap. These are typically scattered throughout the entire map and stick in packs. Floor traps have a specific pattern and will turn on and off on a timer. Standing on these tiles while they are on will damage you, but otherwise feel free to run across. Then we have sliding wall traps. Imagine a laser wall that has 1 safe doorway that moves back and forth across the length of the wall. These will come in 3 colors and all deal damage. However, yellow walls can be passed through while orange and red cannot. Next we have circle traps. I'm not sure what they're actually called, but basically it's a circle that randomly moves around the map. If you go within the circle, it will stop, slowly change colors before dealing damage. That's all for the traps. So what else is trying to destroy you? Sensor bombs. This is simply a circular bomb that will pursue you within a certain distance. If you get too close, it will explode, dealing massive damage. I believe it's 50 damage. Once the bombs have detected you, they will start teleporting furniture around the map. Now for the scariest threat, in my opinion. Sentinels. These are floating heads equipped with machine guns. If their line of sight is not blocked, then they can see you across the entire map. If they spot you, they will perform a short transformation and pull out their machine gun and start blasting. From then on, the machine gun will stay on their head. When you first break line of sight, sentinels will start spinning in circles to prevent you from slipping past them. This is only done briefly before they start wandering around the map again. Once a sentinel has been alerted, it will also begin to teleport furniture around the map. I can't tell you how many times they teleported a piece of furniture I was hiding behind and immediately found me. Luckily for us, sentinels only appear on buildings with even numbers. If not, I'm not so sure I could have beaten it. Lastly, we have the final boss, the combination, the vacuum lawnmower oven. This thing is pretty cool and is mentioned in one of the complaint forums that's part of the extra lore. The guy basically questions who the hell would want this thing and mentions the dangers of such a device. He was very right. The vacuum lawnmower oven has 3 stages, as one would guess. First, a vacuum. The combination will try to, suck you up. When he does so, place a stun to get sucked up instead for a nasty treat. On to phase 2. The combination will lift up and try to shred you with its blades. Place down a block to stop it in its tracks. On to phase 3. The combination will begin to use its oven and send out massive heat blasts. Sensor bombs will also spawn at this time, so lead one close to the boss and drop a stun. 3 separate elements all defeated, the combination is on the brink of death. Move inside its open door and drop one last stun. Once more, as this is a roguelike, the difficulty will steadily ramp up with each building you clear. As you progress further in the game and are rewarded more unlocks, the game will just keep getting harder and harder. So where does that leave us? Well, it's interesting yet predictable. The further you go, the more tense the experience becomes. The beginning of the game is basically a joke. The first building is a freebie, and it's appreciated. Enjoy some chill buffets and maybe find a few items while you're at it. In fact, all odd-numbered buildings are much less stressful, and that makes a lot of sense. As I mentioned, sentinels only spawn on even buildings, so the tension is directly proportional to how many sentinels are around. 1, 3, and 5 are pretty chill, even with more and more traps. I won't act like level 5 didn't occasionally put me in a bad spot, but I don't think I ever actually died there. More so just made some stupid mistakes while rushing. Building 2 is still pretty chill with only a sentinel or 2. Building 4 actually tripped me up a good amount at first. This is when the sentinels actually start to show strength in numbers. And of course, building 6, when the sentinels are practically an army, and you have to get close enough to mark them with a tagger. Sentinels are honestly one of the strongest adversaries I feel like I have had to face in a stealth game. Not in a 1v1 sense, but when there's so many, they become so deadly. You screw up for 1 second, and next thing you know, all you can hear is the sound of bullets firing. Floating heads of death moving straight for your location. Even if you get away or manage to hide, they will just remove your cover. They are way more terrifying than the final boss. So again, tension in this game is directly proportional to how many sentinels are around. There's one other aspect of this game that is really unique and adds to the tension, and it's the core mechanic, eating furniture. Eating furniture is not all fun and games. It's a goddamn liability. Unfortunately, it's also a necessity. Since eating furniture is a required task and recharges your gear, you have no choice. So, where are you supposed to hide if you eat all your cover? Not the Robots is a stealth game that requires you to destroy your own stealth capabilities, and if that isn't raw, I don't know what is. Will you choose to be strategic and refrain from eating all the furniture in a room to leave cover? Or will you live life on the edge eating everything in sight? My biggest complaints with this game are more so complaints with the genre. Personally, I'm not the biggest roguelike or roguelite fan, but that's not the game's fault. I won't sit here and begin to dissect the genre, but I'll simply say I get a bit frustrated when I have to constantly restart an entire run. I expected Not the Robots to be a goofy little game I'd get some dumb fun out of for eating furniture as a trash robot, but I was pleasantly surprised throughout my entire playtime. While the frustration of a typical roguelike is absolutely there and absolutely tested my patience, Not the Robots is a stealth game that does more than enough to set itself apart and create something entirely unique. As they said in 2013 when the game released, I will reiterate now. Not the Robots is this year's most exciting roguelike stealth furniture eating simulator, and I recommend it to you.